Okay, everybody, here we go. It's me, Gregory Mannarino, post-market report on this Thursday, October 19th, 2023. Thank you all for being here. I have so much to talk to you about. I really don't know where to start. Let's let me get my head around it a little bit. All right, so this issue with the debt market is freaking ugly, and something something's going to happen. There's no way they're going to let this go. I'm just waiting for it, as most of you are as well. This sell-off is profound, and if you understand how this is affecting the major the major banks, the major institutions, their balance sheets, which are loaded up with debt that's yielding nothing, as the bond market is selling off here, and we're getting a spiking across the board. This is putting enormous pressure on these institutions who are watching their portfolios evaporate. Um, Something tells me, and look, I might be wrong on this one, but I don't think so, that they're not going to allow this to happen. So with that in mind, Mike, thank you. With that in mind, we must be mindful that something, in my view, is going to stop the bleeding. Because if they don't stop the bleeding, we're going to see more of what we witnessed today and what we witnessed yesterday. Pretty significant sell-offs here in the stock market. The Nasdaq fell the most today. All the major indices fell under pressure here. Um, I mean, it should be a no-brainer to understand the mechanism here. Central banks, the Federal Reserve, keeping rates suppressed since the last meltdown here has opened that doorway for cash to make its way into the stock market. Now, would it make sense to you that if this reversed, in other words, if yields start climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing, the opposite of what we were seeing since the last meltdown here, as central banks are buying it all, you'll see cash come out. Now, the illusion of the market is an extremely powerful thing. It really is. And I've spoken about this so many freaking times. Hey, can all of you hear me okay? This thing doesn't look right over here. Anyway, I hope you can hear me all right. Anyway, an enormous amount of effort here. Thank you. To keep that illusion real. People honestly think they've been programmed that if the stock market does great, the economy is strong. And we heard the same thing today out of Powell, puke, vomitous mess, telling us how strong our economy is. So, meanwhile, what did we find out today? I mean, it's unbelievable. Existing home sales have now fallen to their lowest level since the Great Recession here. The Philly Fed, the Federal Reserve, or the manufacturing index here is in contraction yet again. Imagine my shock. Imagine your shock. You can't make this stuff up. It's some kind of a twisted thing, and they're laughing. They are laughing at us, Kevin. Thank you. They're laughing. They're laughing at us. Anyway, going back to what I was saying here. So if we understand the mechanism, look, this war, we got to talk more about this war, but it's expanding. It's going to expand. It's meant to expand. I love Gerald Celente. He's one of my best people. It's the truth. We talk all the time. And, I do write for the Trends Journal. I do that for free because I believe in what Gerald is trying to do. The man is smart. The man cares. Let me tell you something about Gerald Celente. This man cares about you. He cares about you big time. We talk, where people aren't hearing, and I can promise you that guy cares about every single one of you, as do I, and that's what we all need to do, is care about each other. And that he's just the best, Gerald, I have to tell you. And he always says that when all else fails, they bring you to war. War is the conclusion. War is where they are working towards. The recent military buildup here in the United States over the last president and the current president. Wow, thank you, warring host. I appreciate that. That's it. How any nation exerts its influence on its neighbors is by the threat of death, war, pain, whatever it might be. Unfortunately, this is the kind of world that we live in. But anyway, going back to what I was saying here, action has to be taken here, in my view. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Now, there's a few options here. Let's talk about that just real quick, okay? And then again, I got so much other stuff I want to talk to you about. I apologize in advance if this video goes longer. Right? Some of you hate it, and I don't know. Watch half, maybe. I don't know. Watch the other half later. Um, so if we understand that there's several mechanisms that can be utilized to stabilize the debt market, what are we seeing? Let's just clarify it real clear, make it clear. This is instability. The debt market is unstable. Why is the debt market unstable? I mean, I want you to think about that. I've already said it before a million times, and most of you already know the answer to this, but think, why are we seeing instability in the debt market? Why is the debt market selling off like this? Okay. To me, the answer is absolutely clear, and I would assume most of you are understanding what's going on. Liquidity is drying up. I've been telling you that liquidity is drying up for a very, very long time, for years. But we are at that moment where it's really starting to take effect here. Whiskey, thank you. This issue of liquidity is the number one problem facing the world today. And you know how this works. It's a black hole. Zach, thank you, brother. Thank you very much. It's a black hole that's never meant to be filled. Debt must be perpetually added to the system in order for it to function. It cannot function another way. It's debt based. Its core is debt. Okay. It has to function that way. This is what central banks have done to all of us, or maybe what we've allowed to happen to ourselves. All right. Now, understanding that debt must be perpetually and exponentially, meaning it must be added in multiples to the situation. Otherwise, liquidity dries up. That's where we are. And that's what you're not going to hear out of the mouth of anybody on the mainstream propaganda ministry. No one running for president is going to tell you this. They're going to have, of course, distract you. It's so-and-so's problem, and this person, it's their fault, and these people are smart. That's what you're going to hear. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, this entire situation and this war, expanding wars. Oh, yes, I forgot to tell you, a lovely, beautiful man, illustrious puke of a president is now conjuring up another $160 billion on top of the 100 million that was so graciously it's going to, of course, make its way to the Palestinian people because they're in crisis. Not $1 is going to make it there. Not one. Okay, that's my opinion. You're entitled to your own. Now, with regard to more, we got another 60 billion coming for Ukraine, another 100 billion for Israel. Okay, they got all the money for war that you could possibly imagine, but we can't fund our own government. This mechanism here is adding liquidity to the system. And here's the other paradox. Let me just tell you this. As this war expands and more cash is demanded to fuel it, okay, the black hole of debt, the trap door that's underneath you and me and everybody that's here right now, it's there. Okay, we're going to fall through that. They want us through that door. You understand? They are sucking us dry here. And again, they're sucking us dry because the system is a liquid. And in order to put that Band-Aid on, they have to create reasons to pour more fuel on it. You understand? I think you get it. I hope you do. And what I'm saying is, central bank's goal, as you all know, they have one goal, one and only one. That is to inflate. Their ability to inflate is their Achilles heel. You understand? And they'll kill us all before they're going to give that up. All right. If we were able to prevent the Federal Reserve or any other central bank around the world from issuing $1, how many times have you heard me say this? Just one extra dollar. The whole system collapses. The central bank system collapses and we win. They will not allow that to happen. Nobody will. No president, past or present, future, is going to allow that to happen. The Federal Reserve is the government along with the rest of the other central banks collectively. The collective, that's who they are. You understand? And their interest is not yours. Their interest is to survive. That's it. You understand? At all costs. And that means wars, the propagation of wars, the expansion of wars, whatever they got to do to fuel the debt black hole that's sitting beneath you and me and everybody else. As wealth is just transferred by magic from the masses to the 1% and the 2%ers. That's how this situation is. Okay, this is an elimination. This is an extermination of an entire class of people, and I've covered this for freaking years, and that's the way it's going to go. So anyway, again, going back to this issue of the debt market and illiquidity here, debt market is selling off. This is a major problem. It's going to threaten the illusion of the market. The illusion of the market has to be kept real, in my view. More so because this is a presidential selection cycle. Remember, whoever they choose, whoever they choose, and a lot of people may be happy about it or not too happy about it, that person is being chosen for a reason. We have no representation anymore at all. Zero. Again, if we were allowed to vote and our votes counted, if our votes counted, we would not be allowed to vote. You understand? So that's a fact. And if you didn't learn anything from current events and everything else, then I guess you never will. Anyway, besides all that, so in order for the Federal Reserve, in collusion with central banks, to stop the bleeding here in the debt market, they have to find more reasons to pull cash into the now, or what they could do here, and I think this is probably what they're going to do. They're setting the groundwork. Hear me out for a moment. Powell, economy is strong, even though we know that is totally not true. I showed you the chart yesterday. GDP, wherever the heck it is, it's we're cratering here. The economy is in its death spiral, and this is a global phenomenon. This is, again, deliberate. Central banks are doing this. They're wiping out the middle class here. They're destroying the global economy, creating crisis to crisis to crisis, as so more cash needs to be thrown at it. Now, hold on a second here. Triple helix. I like this emergency rate cut thing, but here's my take on that. It can't be an emergency rate cut. They have to ease the market into it. In other words, you see, the Federal Reserve, along with every other central bank, must foster the illusion that they're in control, that they know what's going on here. There's no ambiguity here. You understand? So with that, the Federal Reserve, although they're talking about the strong economy and blah, 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 we've been hearing for many months now the Fed may pause, we may get a rate cut, blah, blah, blah. The Fed could pause for a while or start to draw down here or start to cut. They can't call it an emergency. If the Federal Reserve were to say this is an emergency rate cut, I think that might cause the opposite effect of what it's supposed to do. And I think people would panic. I think you would see it would spark a sell-off is what I think it would do. Any kind of an emergency, anything would rattle the market. And the market hates uncertainty more than anything else. You understand? So this is why they do these things here. So it is very possible. And that would be another way. I mean, expand wars, more cash being pulled into the system, that would cause yields, the bond market to stabilize here. The central banks, the Fed here, cutting rates, maybe not raising rates for a while. Same kind of thing here. It would take some uncertainty out. The Federal Reserve, at all costs, cannot inject uncertainty into the market in any way. That would cause this entire thing to get very, very real. What do we also know? This stock market is see, I've told you this before. It's in a place that is beyond la la land. There's no name for it. It's way, way out there. Nothing makes sense anymore. And the market is holding up pretty darn well. I have to say, forget about the wars. War is stock market positive. Okay, that's fact. But gauging for what we're seeing, this sell-off in the debt market, which is profound, and it's even getting coverage on the mainstream here. They can't ignore it. The stock market is holding up pretty well, though. The stock market, I'm talking about institutional investors who are the ones that really move the whole show. It's not guys like you and me. They are anticipating, it looks to me, like rate cuts are coming, or the Fed is going to find another way to stabilize the debt market. More war, more death, more suffering. Human lives are being swapped out for dollars in this corporation, which was once known as the United States of America. Doug, thank you. What happens to the MMRI gauge at 351? We'll see, bro. Like I said, the market, like I said, is unbelievably resilient right now in the face of what's happening here. The market is trying to figure out what's going on. Jim, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank all of you. You're so awesome. Anyway, Yasser K, why is the MMRI broken? It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Maybe you're broken. I'm kidding. I'm probably a nice guy. I'm just goofing with you a little bit. I like to joke around a little bit. Anyway, people. So that's what I believe here. There can't be an emergency cut, but they must do something to stop the bleeding. They have to do that. Otherwise, again, look what happened today. Look what happened yesterday here. This uncontrolled sell-off here that we're seeing here, it's a meltdown. It really is. It's not being cold, but that's what it is. Now I'll tell you something else. While we're on the topic and we're friends and we could talk about anything, right? Okay, so we understand, as I said earlier, the banks, and in fact, this is the title of something. Banks are worse off than we think. I want to cover this a little more, but understanding that these banks' balance sheets they're evaporating because of all the bad debt, low yielding debt that they are holding here as yields rise. What could the Federal Reserve do to help these institutions out? Well, of course, it could cause rates to drop. And I think there's going to be, look, I could be way off, and I'm just talking here. I'm just speculating, all of us people here, that they're going to find a way to do it. Unless really, look, here's the thing. Here's the other thing. This is going to melt down. It's just a matter of when. And we could sit here and think, well, maybe this and maybe that. But the fact of the matter, we have to also face the reality that this may be that moment here where we get that debt market implosion that I've been talking about for like 10 freaking years, where we get an uncontrolled sell-off in the debt market, which puts pressure on the stock market, just like we're seeing now. And then what's going to eventually happen, this uncontrolled spike in the debt market will go, supernova, and that's going to melt down the stock markets of the world. And then again, what's going to happen? Cash doesn't grow money wings and fly away. Doesn't fly away nowhere. No, it's just going to go into another reality. It's going to move into commodities, in my view. And of course, I say cryptocurrencies, classic cars, other things. You understand? That's what's going to happen. It's always the same. And you could see, if you look throughout history, how cash moves through markets in relatively predictable patterns. It's pretty much in our face here, people. But anyway, so that's something else we need to consider here. Now, going back to these banks, no one has nailed this to the wall better than you and I. We started on this before anybody else. I'll go back to this later. Look at this handwriting. Ugh, awful. But this is an article today, the front page of CNBC. And this is what, sometimes the truth gets leaked out. We already know that withdrawals from these institutions is skyrocketing. They can't let you know that there are bank runs going on. Okay, period. They have to tell you how great bank earnings are, but they can't tell you about their balance sheets, which are evaporating with regard to value as the bond market melts down. Can't tell you that. Again, it's look here, don't look over there. Whiskey, thank you. It's always the same. You understand? Anyway, banks are worse off than we think. All this is in your inbox if you subscribe to my free newsletter, link below. Lions and friends, you are already very well aware of the troubles which we have outlined for over a year regarding the banks. Now, below is the front page headline snapshot from CNBC. I go on to say, do you need any more proof that what I've been telling you and saying we've discussing is true? So big banks, the big banks are quietly are cutting thousands of employees, and more layoffs are coming. Is this because they're doing so well? Is this because their earnings are doing so good? Meanwhile, there's no deals. We got mortgage demand at the all-time low. Homes aren't selling, but their earnings are doing so good. It's a lie. Okay, you're being propagandized. Imagine my shock here on that deal. Now let's. Here's something else talking about this war expanding here. Did you see this one? U.S. Embassy in Lebanon urges Americans to leave as soon as possible. As we all expected, Lions and friends, this war is not only going to drag on and on. And the longer they drag Russia-Ukraine out, the longer they drag this war out, and it's going to expand everywhere else, the more cash they can throw at it. Speaking of that, poof, and it's gone. Our illustrious president sending another $160 billion more for war. And it's gone. Again, we can fund any war. Oh, Yellen said we could at least fund 2 wars. Oh, we're okay with that with us fake. Wait, let me get it right for you. Yeah, we can fund 2 wars. Whatever it is, it's a thing. It's a horrible, hideous thing. It's not human. I get called out all the time for this. Oh, Greg, you tell people to love each other and care about each other and be charitable. Yeah. Yellen is not a human being, in my view. Okay, I can't believe these people have defenders. Neil Cash and Carey has a defender. The ghoul of the Fed, she has defenders too. Oh yeah, Bill Gates has defenders. They'll have their own little teams that defend them. Good. Defend these people all you want. Okay. I don't care if you don't like it. Just get out of here. I don't think anyone here wants you. Just really the truth. Anyway, I go on to say Biden asking for another 60 billion for the Ukraine war, another 100 billion to help fund Israel's war with Hamas. It's with Hamas, you know. This on top of the 100 million which he just pledged for humanitarian aid, for which none of it's going to get to the Palestinian people. I hope they're not holding their breath over there. And I go on to say, Lions and friends, this will not end. Or should I say, this will not end well. I think you would agree with me on these kinds of things. Now, before I go on here and take these kind of questions from you guys, I want to thank you again for those thumbs up. They are incredibly valuable. 800 so far. You guys and girls are awesome. All my friends are here. I love all you guys. I really, really do. Let me see here. What else do I want to say? You know, I kind of covered all the important points here that I wanted to. It's funny. Like I divide these things up, and I'm like, okay, and then half the time I can't even read what I freaking wrote. Oh, anyway, people, lovely, isn't it? It's just beautiful. But you know why? We got each other, man. And we've been prepared for all this. Nothing here is surprising. Nothing at all. Where we're going, where they're sending us, what they're about to do to us, what they have been doing to us. It's an incredible thing. Anyway, just real quick, let me touch back on this market. So as I said, stocks fell under pressure today. Imagine my shock. This issue of risk. And it's really, you see, look, it should be illiquidity. Okay. We have a liquidity crisis on a scale that it really can't be measured. And well, actually, maybe it could. It can be measured in human lives. And the more human lives they can feed to the system, well, I guess the more liquid it's going to become. Interesting. Thank you, John. I appreciate that too. Very much. Anyway, so gold and silver quarter bid, crude oil over 90. Crude oil over 90 again. You all knew this. It's going much, much higher. Again, it's a real thing, crude oil. Look for, again, expanding war is obviously bullish for crude oil and the dollar dying here, along with the other central bank issued notes that they're sucking, and I mean sucking, like you can't possibly be sucked. Well, they're killing their currency, people. They're killing the currency by design. And I've started talking about this 10 years ago, and it's only gotten exponentially worse. It hasn't gotten any better. I know there's a lot of people here hoping for some deflation, but how can we have that? Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. I've covered this recently, but if we're in a current situation where hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars are going to be funneled everywhere for this, for that, and the other thing. Again, all of what you can't be told ever is this is massively inflationary. For example, let me ask you this. When our illustrious president that I want to throw up, is now saying, here's 100 million, but now here's 100 billion, and there's another 60 billion on top of the tens of billions that we've already sent for this, that, and the other thing. Why doesn't anyone ask the thing? Where does it come from? Sir, thing, puke. Well, I want to know where it comes from. I know where it comes from, but he won't tell you where it comes from. He's going to say, "Oh, well, we have this room. It's over there, and there's all this cash back. We have as much as we could possibly need to just funnel everywhere." You see, he can't tell you that this cash does not exist. It must be magically created out of thin air. And he gets on the phone with the Federal Reserve. Hey, listen, I'm gonna promise another, I might as well make it $1 trillion. I need 100 billion. Okay, it'll be there in 5 minutes. Oh, got it on my screen. Thank you. Now he tells the American people, hey, guess what? I got $100 billion for Israel and another 60 for the Ukraine too, and whoever else I want to send it to. Oh yeah, absolutely. But don't worry about it. It's all good. Nobody asks the most basic questions here anymore, and it's really disgusting in my view. Anyway, all right, people, this is what we're going to do, you and me. I'm going to cover some of your questions here. It's getting kind of long. I do apologize for that. I said it would at the beginning, and I tell you, people complain to me all the time about every freaking thing. Greg, your videos are too long, and I get this all the time. Look, what do I tell these kind of people? Watch half. I apologize if I'm out here too long. I got a big mouth. I like to talk, and I love to interact with all of you. It's really the truth. My morning videos are 10 minutes, these are like 20 minutes, sometimes a half of an hour. It's because I really like being here with all of you. I feel like, I feel good. I feel good. Jerome Powell, you still buying Anacott steel? Yeah, buy Anacott steel, buddy. I think I should put some more cash over there too. Uh, look, the situation is, I'm just, again, look, I can't even see some of these things that are flashing by here. It's going too fast, honestly. But the situation is what it is. And with regard to the liquidity drying up, people, look, this is the root cause of the problem. This is why we're seeing what we are seeing. And some people, very few, are going to become enormously wealthy from this. It's a terrible thing. But the world we live in is not what it appears to be. This is an illusion for the most part, unfortunately. But we got to take care of each other. As I've always told you, every Friday I leave you off with love each other, care about each other, be charitable, except for, look, yelling. Yelling and other things that dwell within the Federal Reserve. And I don't consider these things to be people. I just don't. They don't care for the most part. And they're sucking us dry. They're colluding. It's the truth. Anyway, people, this guy here loves you a lot from the heart. I mean that. And I want to thank all of you for support, for those thumbs up, everything, for being here with me. Some of you have been with me for a very, very long time. So if you got something out of this, please share the video, get it out there, let people hear about this stuff. Steve, yes, I will be racing soon. Do you go to Bradenton? I got my Copo in the shop right now. My Cuda's sleeping over at the new place. I'm in the process. I'll be in the new place next week. So next week there's going to be a different background. I know this light here bothers everybody. It bothers me too. But this is just a temporary thing I got going on here. Unfortunately, it ran a little longer than I wanted it to. But that's the truth. All right, people, look, again, I'm going to let you go. I love all of you from the heart. I mean this, and we got each other's backs. All right? I'll see you.